Good evening, everyone. This is Scarlet Shark here, coming to you from a Zoom call, bringing you another interview. Today's guest was a Smash player from the Panama scene as a kid, and now he's all grown up into an actor, model, and quickly on his way to becoming as ripped as a Joe star. So, and surprise, surprise, he still plays Smash, is getting into competitive Mario Kart, and is a huge fan of adventure games. Please welcome Ariel Blanco, or as we used to call him, Deku. Deku, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's start off with the obvious. Who is your main character in Smash Ultimate?
My main character used to be Joker and Marth. I used to play most of them a lot. I did like vary from character to character, but those were my top picks usually.
Now, you've played against both American players and Panamanian players, I imagine. How different,
Yeah.
how different is the playstyle between regions?
Between regions, the Panamanian playstyle honestly really focuses on zoning and gimmicks
Hmm?
very much. It's very much more focused on player styles more than what's meta, what's going on with the meta, and what because everybody's trying to make like their own characters work and everything. It's much more personalized in Panama. In the States, it's everything kind of falls into what the meta uh, follows at the time. So it used to be very much dependent on the updates. Now it's just very much dependent on uh, how people are playing, how the top players are playing, and pretty much just that.
So, shifting gears to Mario Kart, your
Mm.
favorite Mario Kart game to play?
I love Double Dash. Double Dash is probably my favorite game. I've been playing a lot of 8 Deluxe because it's the most like readily available one. But yeah, either Double Dash or Mario Kart Wii. Those are yeah, really really fun.
Okay. Now, considering you're a Mario Kart player, I definitely need to ask, what was the point of Pink?
I I really don't like inclusions of characters like that. I I know they usually want to like fill up the roster and like have some type of characters, but honestly, Pinkle Peach just seemed like a cash grab,
Yeah, because
especially since they made the amiibos and stuff. Yeah,
we
yeah.
complain about there being too many Fire Emblem characters in Smash. Mario Kart has it worked because at least with Smash we don't have to worry about Pink Gold Peach.
Oh no, literally, yeah. Yeah, I think Smash has done pretty good about like keeping character variations. Like even with like Fire Emblem characters, they are different characters. With Pinkle, Peach, or Metal Mario, they're kind of the same version of a different character. Uh, but yeah.
Now that being said, though, you said that you're very much into adventure games. What about them do you
hmm
like the most?
Uh, Probably the biggest one I've been playing a lot is Solitaires of the Kingdom.
Mhm.
That is probably my jam. That's I played it for around 400 hours when it first came out, and yeah, I just dabble on it from time to time, every now and then. I have like every single piece of equipment in the game and everything. I just spend so much time on it, honestly. I love a lot of like RPG and adventure-based games. My favorite one be Persona 5 out of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, those kind of like story-based games, very personal, very me and myself and just being lost for like 8 hours a day. Is I really love those kind of games.
All right, that's great. That's very good. Now, have you had any experience with Pokemon?
Oh yeah, I used to play so much more as a kid. I still play every now and then. I've been playing a lot of Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee because those are kind of like they feel very nostalgic, so they're kind of very nice to pick up and play. But I used to play a lot of Pokemon. Mainly I used to play Fire Red and Emerald as a kid, probably until I was like 12, 13. I would probably the games I would play the most would be Pokemon games.
See, interesting. Now then, we're gonna shift gears for a little bit and talk about your profession a little bit, if
All right.
that's all right with
Mm-hmm.
you. All right. So, at the start of this interview, you said that you're an actor and a model. I think the biggest question on behalf of literally quite a few smashers here in Panama, how on earth did that happen?
Yeah, so I actually, whenever I first moved to the States, I wanted to pursue competitive Smash. I wanted to keep playing and keep being a competitive player. But the pandemic happened. It's funny enough, the day after I registered for Evo in person, the pandemic like really shut everything down the day after, which was really, really like it was kind of humorous for me. But for a little bit, I was like, okay, this is just a setback. I still have the same goals and I want the same things. But the more I actually went through the pandemic, I started doing things on the side and I started doing voice acting. Um, I did voice acting for a couple projects. Very like very fan made. I was working for Fiverr for a little bit, and whenever I started junior year in high school, I got into this theater class, and I got essentially forced to audition for a show by the professor. She was like, "No, you're not doing sound. You're acting. So I'm forcing you to audition." And ever since then, I just kind of really really liked it. It really had a really personal touch that I felt like I didn't have on other things before, and it felt really sincere to like my personality and how I feel myself.
Ah, interesting. So, when it comes to acting, I imagine you have to memorize a ton of lines, be very patient in
Oh.
the process of all that. Do you think that has helped you when it comes to gaming in a way?
Memorizing, like when it comes to memorizing and learning information, I think honestly, gaming and like playing especially RPGs and like games that are like very information heavy really helped me to know how to to just like dump down information. Also, fighting games a lot because back when I used to play Smash, funny enough, I used to write down combinations in a notebook, and I would dump them down to a single letter, and then I would just have like a ton of like combinations written down, and that's actually funny enough how I kind of learn lines now as an actor. I kind of write the first word of every line, the first letter of every word. I write them down in a notebook, and I kind of learn lines like combos in a video game in a weird way.
All right, interesting.
Yeah.
So that being said, you mentioned about fighting games. Is Smash the only fighting game you played, or have you given games like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat a chance?
I did give Street Fighter 5 a chance for a little bit, but then I noticed that yeah, I was not very good at it. I definitely got I did dabble for a little bit, and I really got into Dragon Ball Fighters.
Well, that's
That
good.
was that was the one that I like invested the most time. Um, yeah, but it was like very early on the game, back when like everybody was playing it. I really really played it a lot. I also played Skullgirls, which is like yeah, a very small indie fighting game, but it's really really fun. It's really really stylized, and I really like that. But yeah, every now and then, whenever there's a fighting game, I try to learn it because I really like just getting to the point of just having fun with it.
All right.
Yeah.
So, we said at the start of this, at the beginning of all this interview, that you've gotten very much into working out and getting like fit to the point where you're practically a Saiyan at this point.
uh,
So, I gotta ask you, what inspired you to undergo this fitness journey?
well, the first one was a role that I got. So around February of this year, I got this role in a play called Luchadora, in which I was playing a Mexican wrestler.
Okay.
And they had me first undergoing like this training, learning fight choreography. We practiced how to do everything, how to do the tumbles, the throws. I learned how to do a suplex. It was really really fun, but I noticed that my body was really it was getting really taxed after every practice. And funny enough, I over that same amount of time I watched the Rocky movie series for the first time, and both of those things at the same time made me be like, okay, I'm doing this. So I started documenting every single time I was going to the gym, how I was working, what was not, what I was eating, what was working, what was not, what was better. I started tracking everything, and the the biggest point in which I felt like I actually had a change was over this summer, where I underwent my first cut, and at the same time I was also going through a very tight routine because at that time I had 3 jobs, so I only had a small window of time every day to work out. So I had to maximize how much I worked out during that time. So that was yeah, that was essentially what made the biggest transformation and the biggest incentive for me to have self-discipline. Because personally, I feel like self-discipline is way more important than motivation whenever it comes to like changes like that, and making it sustainable. Kind of just make it like so you can actually do this and not just be a struggle, not have to push through it, more like live through it. You know what I mean?
See, so that with all that being said,
Mhm.
um, you said that you mentioned that you watched rock movies. I imagine you tried boxing a little bit as well.
Oh no, yeah. So back before I like even started doing Smash, before I did anything of that, I went to Roberto Duran's gym, and I used to train as a boxer for a little bit. I never had like any let's say professional fights, but I always like training. I always like sparring. It was a really engaging experience for me, and I've really kind of rekindled with that after watching the Rocky movies, because I noticed something whenever that everybody used to say when back at the gym, that when you watch the Rocky movies, you realize that Rocky was a horrible boxer, but it was more the feeling of the pushing yourself and like the feeling and the vibe that those movies gave me, that was like, okay, I'm gonna come back to it a lot more. And I actually have started going back to boxing a little bit, not as much, and I'm not doing fights because I'm an actor now, so I don't wanna get a broken nose. But yeah, I've been trying to train more and like get more into sparring and doing all that.
All right. And are you sure you haven't watched JoJo?
Oh, I've watched JoJo. I love JoJo. Yeah.
That would explain the amount of poses quite a bit.
No, that's actually really funny. Actually, I started like doing those like posing because I heard from a friend of mine that whenever you do poses, you kind of realize and you see the muscle imbalances in your body, and you know what to train harder for whenever you're essentially doing bodybuilding techniques or bodybuilding exercises. Posing is really important to know how balanced your body is. And yes, I have looked at JoJo poses a lot because the more like I looked at them, the more I was like, okay, I really want to replicate this one, and I would try to do the ones that were humanly possible.
And I imagine
There's a
you
couple.
stayed away from the Pillar Men.
The Pillar Man, Polnareff, yeah, I was very far away from them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is kind of intriguing as far as it goes, and definitely you should definitely give it a try to JoJo's All Star Battle R. It's a fighting game. JoJo.
Oh yeah, I've heard about it. That's a 2D one, right? Because I know
Yeah,
I tried I played Ice of Heaven, but I have looked at All Star Battle, and I kind of want to play it.
nice. All right, so to wrap this up, I gotta ask you, since
Hmm.
you're a boxer and a model, we gotta ask you. You probably know how intense some of those. So I should probably ask you, is more intense, Ash or Mario Kart?
Honestly, Mario Kart is more like steadily intense. Like there's an ongoing pressure, but with Smash, anything can happen at any second, and that's why I used to whenever I had the time and whenever I had the dedication and the self-discipline to play Smash, I that was probably the most fun I would have like on every day, because it was so unpredictable and it was so fresh. It was so fresh every time, and anything could happen, that I feel like it's way more intense.
Awesome, very nice.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Deku, it has been quite fun, and I have to be honest with you. I'm really happy that you're excelling in basically doing. I mean, when I first met like this little kid who were all innocent before went crazy, and now look at you, actor, and possibly on your way to becoming the next JoJo.
Thank you, thank you.
I truly
Appreciate that
think
very
you
much.
are kind of, I truly think you're kind of like an inspiration, gamers all around you, and honestly, I feel like even though your journey has been lived, you wanted to go into professional gaming and then you ended up where you are now, which is I think is all very interesting. Journey has been very fun, and I think that down to it, I feel like a lot of gamers can kind of look at this interview, look at you, and you know what? If he's got this, I can do it too. Not 100% sure about if I can replicate his poses. Probably somewhere in there. So I gotta be honest, thank you so much for coming on,
Thank you for the chance. Thank you.
and I look forward to whenever you're back in Panama to one day possibly show you a little bit more about JoJo's Ultimate Battle, and maybe even playing against you in Smash instead.
All right. All right. Thank you so much.
All right, this is Shirt signing off. Hold on until I finish the recording.